All right, college football fans, major news for one of the top recruits in the country. Five-star quarterback Jared Curtis has set a commitment date for May 5th. Now, that is obviously per On3 and Hayes Fawcett. They reported this major news, obviously, for the superstar quarterback out of Nashville Christian. All right, this past year, man, he was an absolute stud for Nashville Christian. He went 12-1 this past year. They went undefeated in their region, won a state championship, threw for 2,840 yards, over 40 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. Dude absolutely lit it up. Now, he had one of his best games in a crazy stat line against Clarksville Academy in Tennessee. Dude went off 16 for 16, 250 plus yards passing, and 4 touchdowns. Absolutely insane. So, for the fans of the Ducks in Georgia, that's the type of quarterback you get. You get an absolute stud. Now, where should he choose to go? I really think he can't go wrong with choosing either of these teams, right? When you look at Oregon, you look at Georgia. Oregon, right? Dan Lanning, one of the best coaches in college football, in my humble opinion. I think if the Ducks didn't play anybody but Ohio State, I think they go to the national championship. That's how good they are. Go look at what he did for the career. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel, who was really good at Oklahoma, but I thought he took some steps forward this year. He was very good. Obviously, for the Ducks, Ted Johnson and them boys. I think he got a coach that's button and could really be that dude. When we think of college football and the best of the best, right? We think of, obviously Dabo Swinney, Kirby Smart. You look at Marcus Freeman. Got to throw Ryan Day in there. You know what I'm saying? I think he could really go good. Now, in terms of, obviously, Georgia, we look at what they've been able to do, right? You look at Stetson Bennett of the world, right? You look at, obviously, this past year, Carson Beck, who obviously didn't have his best year, I feel y'all. But still, when he was there, had productive seasons for them, right? Now they got a guy in Gunnar Stockton, potentially Ryan Puglisi, who we'll see what happens with both of them, who's going to be the starter. But guys, he can come in maybe in a year or two, and he can get that potential starter role. And we know that they've been heavily attacking the wide receiver spot and skill position group, with great tight ends in 2025 class, 2026 class, and also the transfer report again, guys like Zachariah Branch, Noah Thomas, and many, many more. So really, to be honest with y'all, he can't go wrong with either one. I think it's going to be interesting to see what team can land his services, because I do think he will be probably the next best college football prospect. I do think he has a lot of potential. I've got a chance to see him up close and personal. And that was last year at the UA camp in Nashville, and I was thoroughly impressed, man. Has a really good arm angle, really velocity when it's coming out. Really good, obviously, he has really good touch on the football as well, and he can get it to anywhere. I mean, when I went to see him, y'all, no BS, it was a windy day in Tennessee. He was ripping through the wind and throwing dots out there. I mean, so that goes to tell you his arm strength, his velocity, his power, and what he could potentially mean. And his deep ball is something to behold, man. And this was before he went off this past season, right? I seen him last year in 2024. So you can imagine where he's grown and developed to where he is now. So outstanding recruit, man. Can't go wrong landing him. Oregon or obviously UGA. I think it's going to come down to, though, obviously NIL is going to play a factor, man. How much does Georgia want to pay for their next potentially generational quarterback? Do you want to deal out a lot of money? Do you want to deal out a certain percentage? Like, how much do you want to pay, him potentially when you got other needs and position groups you have to address? It's a lot to deal out for a freshman, but as we've seen with other models like Michigan, obviously Florida, not as much as Michigan, paid, but these teams is dealing out money to these QBs. So if you want an elite guy, you got to be able to give him the bread. So we're going to see what happens, man, but that could be a factor in this as well. He's already visited both. But now he is officially set for May 5th, man. Comment down below. I want to hear y'all thoughts. Where should the 5-star elite prospect go? Should he become an Oregon Duck with Coach Dan Lanning? Or should he be a Bulldog, go Dogs, with obviously Georgia and Kirby Smart? Comment down below, man. Where should the 5-star go?